Uh, we are going to record because the sessions go into our online academy, which you will all get access to. So you can come back in and watch again to your heart's content or share with colleagues, etc. But yeah, before we get started, let's introduce ourselves. So this is our dojo. This is the place where we come to train and to practice, and in all good mastery fashion, knowing that we enjoy that process rather than actually ever getting to achieve our sort of big goals. Tai, are you letting people in for us? Yeah. Okay, right, sorry, that jumped over. So yeah, for those of you who don't know me, I am Tony and I am the founder of an organisation with Ian called Expert Growth Services. So this is one of the first things that we are doing together, although Ian and I have known each other for many years. I have been in business now for 12 years myself. But I've been working with small and medium-sized business owners for the last 30 years, really, helping them to start and grow and develop their business. Hey guys, nice to see you. Yeah, so Ian, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name's Ian. My background, very briefly, is I spent 35 years in banking, worked for 3 major institutions doing business and corporate finance. Retired from banking in 2010 and left that sort of blanket of the corporate institutions, which kept me nice and comfortable. And in 2004, when was it, 14, I decided to become a business owner, threw myself in the trenches and just realized what it's all about setting those goals, those targets, and all the problems of leading a team. After 5 years, it became very successful, and in 2019, I sold out to a major corporate. I'm still involved with that business as like a non-exec director, but also doing a lot of sort of business consultancy on the side now. So, good morning to you all.
Morning.
Yeah, so before we get started then, it would be really good to, I'm just going to give you a bit more of a background about what we're going to be covering, obviously starting today, but for the next 13 weeks, with a little mini break for Christmas and New Year. We're not that mean. Yeah, so make Thursday mornings at this time a date in your diary. But how can we have the best year ever? And it really starts with creating and setting meaningful goals that mean we can be happy and flourish and do heroic things for our business and, our lives. So that's what this masterclass is all about. It's all about goal setting. And then we do a build on that every single week to help you really start to implement and put things into practice in your business. So let's introduce ourselves in terms of who are you and why are you here? Why have you signed up for today and hopefully the next 13 weeks?
Shall I start?
Yes, please. Thank you, Kate.
And I've got a new laptop. Is the audio okay?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you. So I met Tony about 3 years ago, I think we've decided. And at that point, I'd been made redundant from an organisation that I worked for. And with Tony's coaching, was encouraged to set some big, hairy ass goals, some of which I've achieved. So I work for the National Trust. I live in York. I work in Wales. So I mostly spend my time either in my attic or in my car, and sometimes at beautiful Welsh properties. I am taking redundancy in April. So I'll have been working for, I don't know, 40 years or something. And as Tony may remember, I found lockdown, and I was on furlough, quite stressful, not working and not really having a purpose. So I'm slightly anxious about finishing work. But I've got some plans, and I'm hoping that 2025 will be the beginning of a whole new chapter. And so this is an absolutely beautifully timed opportunity. Thank you, Tony and Ian, because it is, I'm just now, because I've got a date for when I'm finishing, I'm just now starting to think, okay, this is a reality. I need to create some quite big goals, but some quite small goals so that I can move along towards self-employment. My plan is to become a freelance fundraiser. And I've got a couple of other little side hustles that I want to explore, but that's my main ambition, is to become a freelance fundraiser working in York and in and around York.
So I know we're going to be tight for time today, but I've got a quick question. When you say fundraiser, raising funds for
Charities.
for charities, of course. So yeah. Okay.
How exciting, Kate. That's brilliant. Oh, I'm really excited.
Great timing.
Yeah, it is absolutely. Yes, we can handhold you right the way through almost to April. That's brilliant.
Perfect.
Thank you for that then, Kate. So hi, Dan and Joanne.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Lovely to see you here. So introduce yourselves and tell us why you're here.
Yeah, well, sorry we're slightly late. We both had a situation where both our kids, where one's missed a school bus, so I ended up legging it somewhere. I'm going to rush back in. So sorry about that.
Don't worry.
Yeah, why we're here is we have a commercial cleaning company, which we set up a few years ago, and it's grown quite well, consistently quite well, without really doing any kind of marketing whatsoever. So what we're really trying to do this year is to kind of focus on a specific type of client maybe, and set goals to, whereas we're kind of like spread and we have like a kind of a variety of different types of clients. What we're now looking for is kind of like channel what we're doing towards certain types of clients that we find easier and that are more profitable. And so what we're trying to do is set targets for that and then find out the best ways to kind of do that, if that makes sense.
So Daniel, what's your business, Daniel? Sorry.
It's a commercial cleaning company.
Right. Okay.
And Joanne, do you want to say hi? And
Hi.
you can do the
I
same.
pressed something, just bear with me a second. Oh yeah, that's it. I made the screen go funny then by pressing something. Yeah, hi. Exactly what he said. We're just wanting to focus more on certain businesses that we're going to aim for. So yeah, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, thank you. And Sarah.
Hi everyone, my name's Sarah Shiva, and I make bespoke ceramic sculptures. So for example, if it was your sculpture, it would be a piece about you after you've had a consultation. I met Tony a year ago and she's been mentoring me through setting the business up, and sort of going into my second year, it's more a case of I'm sort of trying different avenues, so art galleries, Christmas markets, and it's sort of about reviewing year one and then setting revised goals for year two based on what I've learned from year one.
Yeah, brilliant. Oh, right, it's brilliant to see you, Paul, and exciting times ahead for all of us. I'm very excited about 2025. I think the world's been a bit mad, hasn't it, over the last, pretty much since 2019-ish. And I thought, I was going into the roaring 20s, and it hasn't quite been there. So hopefully that, I feel like things are shifting a little bit. So just to give you a bit of background on everything that we do is based on
Tony, there's a lady called Grace that I don't think was introduced.
Oh, sorry, Grace. I can't see you on my screen.
I can't.
Scroll across.
Hi, Grace. How are you?
Hi, really well, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. I'm so sorry you weren't on my screen, but you are now.
Oh, don't worry. Sorry, I was a bit late joining.
No.
But thanks for having me here. So met Tony probably about 5 years ago now, quite a while ago. Did a leadership course with you, which was really good. So mainly here to still work on that really. So I have a property background, worked in residential property for just short of 10 years, and recently this year made the move into land. So land and planning, so still very much property base, land base, planning, construction, sort of all links into each other. So I'm still very much in the building knowledge phase of my career. I think leadership, something that I'm still very inexperienced with. I'm very used to being a part of a team, which I love doing. I love working with people, but haven't really got many leadership skills. That's still an aspect I'm working on. But having goals, building up my knowledge, I think the more knowledge you have, the more sort of not power, but the better scheme of things you have. So yeah, still working on probably skills of being more of a leader in a team rather than a member of a team. But goals and time management and everything obviously all links into that. So just wanting to learn.
And are you still at Hudson Moody?
No, so actually after nearly 8 years of working with Ben and Tanya, who I've still got a really good working relationship with, I've decided to move into planning and land. So they've been really supportive, and I'm actually looking to work with Ben in a different aspect. So yeah, so still very much in touch with them and wouldn't be here without them. So again, like building on that as well, which is really nice.
Yeah. Oh, lovely. Oh, so good to see you, Grace. Thank you for joining us. So yeah, so everything that is our model that we deliver on all of our programs is based on sort of 30 years of experience and some AEN in terms of I was really driven in my early career to be successful. And it came really from my my own insecurities of actually never feeling quite good enough or never feeling like I was being successful. So I spent a lot of time sort of collecting qualifications and trying to demonstrate I was successful, but actually never really feeling it. So I embarked on some research, and I became an accidental researcher back in the late 1990s. Looking into what it was that made successful people successful. So I've researched everything from ancient wisdom to modern psychology to everything in between, including religion and neuroscience and all sorts of weird and wonderful things. And from that, I published my research and I published my own model of how do we create success for ourselves and in our businesses and as leaders. So that's kind of what everything that we deliver is based on. It's all scientifically proven. There's lots of models and things that we are going to share with you over the next 13 weeks and certainly today. And we just ask you to kind of just trust the process and try things out. And we are here to, bounce ideas off of, share our experiences amongst us all. It's not just coming from me and Ian, but we know that what we share are things that work if you put them into practice. And hence why we wanted to put something that had some decent amount of time, because it's so easy to come on one of these workshops and then go, oh, rah, rah, we've set everything in place, and then do absolutely jack with it for the rest of the year. And so the time is really right. Sorry, I've got a fly attacking me in here. The time is really right to just let's go into the new year with a great kind of, I think it's almost like 101 days or something like that, where we can be here every week supporting you and giving you step-by-step support and guidance. And then, we will kind of offer you to, join us after if you want to in one of our programs. But this really is your time and your space every week for that hour. So anyway, that's a bit of background about where all of that comes from. So we're going to jump right in now. So we've got 10 big ideas to share with you today. So hopefully we'll get them done in the hour, but we're not rushing off. So if you want to stay on and, you know, do some more on this, then great, we are here. But big idea number one around how do we set off having the best year ever, whatever year that is, but let's say 2025, it's all about targets. And the ancient Greeks, I said the research comes from all sorts of places, but the ancient Greeks, going back to Aristotle, talked about, excuse me, us being teleological, which means we're target driven. So as humans, we are really target driven. But it's not just about having a target for the sake of it. It's about having a stretching target that actually, in one idea sort of really scares the pants off of us, but in another that actually we do think that this is really achievable. And the science tells us that everything is created twice, once in our mind and once in reality. So for some people that might sound a bit woo, and it, you know, about chucking it out there to the universe and it will happen. It's not just about that, and you'll see that from what we're going to deliver today and in future weeks. But it is about taking the time to think about where is it that we want to get to, because, you know, with every will in the world, we can set a target and we may or may not get there. So what it's really all about is the process, enjoying the process and putting in place things that are actually going to help us to monitor and see if we are on the right trajectory. So the ancient Greeks, the sort of godfather Apollo of target setting is actually an archer. And we can all practice archery, but we don't always hit the middle of that target, you know. So we can do as much as we can to be on target the day that we go to practice, but it is all about the practice and the process that gets us closer and closer to that target. But again, the science tells us that we will achieve within 10% plus or minus of any goal that we set out to achieve, which is why I encourage you, and Kate said right at the beginning, to have a big, hairy, audacious or hairy ass goal, because it doesn't matter what one we set, we will achieve it if we put the processes towards achieving that. So that's all about our number one big idea, is what is the target, and think about all the processes and steps that we need to put in place in order to achieve it. So I'll hand you on. At any point, if you want to stop us or chat, put anything in, then just put your hand up and let us know. We can answer questions as we go. But we will have time for questions at the end as well. So Ian, I'll hand it over to you for big idea number two.
Okay, thank you. Just before I crack on with this bit, I just want to say that just carrying on what I was talking about earlier, about when I left banking and I had that corporate blanket around me, nice and comfortable, thought I was a hot shot banker, came out, thought I knew it all, I'd met thousands and thousands of businesses. And actually, when I went out on my own, running my own business, 30 odd staff, I actually knew nothing. And it was, it really opened my eyes to what it's like being out there running a business. So, you know, everything we're talking about today, since I sold that business, I've sort of helped businesses along the way, sort of knowing what I had learned from my past mistakes, but also my successes. So all this to me makes a great deal of sense. So anyway, this is about really who you are when you are at your absolute best, how you can expand your capabilities, what really is your heroic best, what you're really capable of doing, achieving, what's your absolute potential. So it's about thinking about what does that best version of you actually look like? How do you see yourself? What's it like having a really great time, having a really great day, having a really great event? What's it feel like? Sometimes that can be hard to imagine, but we've all been there. I think we've all achieved it. So it's looking back and thinking, no, what really did that feel like? There's an author called Ellen Langdon, and what she says is that our potential in the future is unknown. And we don't know how good we're going to be going forward. So that #1 target that Tony was just talking about is kind of one of the things that we've got. We don't know how well we'll be at achieving this. So we really need to be mindful of not closing ourselves down, looking at sort of the constraints that may be upon us achieving those targets, those goals, and really just trying to be our best selves and trying to achieve what we really want to achieve. I mean, when we look at those goals that we're looking to achieve, obviously we've got to be very careful of sort of overstepping the mark, setting false limits, and you've got to think to yourself, okay, can I really achieve this? And there's a story. I met a guy, oh dear, must be 20 years ago now, and he was a coach, and a good friend of his took over managing Stevenage Town. And Stevenage, if you're into football, were a non-league side, and they were playing Newcastle in the Premier Division in the 3rd round of the FA Cup. So he phoned my friend up and he said to him, can we have a chat? And they sat down and he said, right, okay, you know, how do you see the game? He said, well, really, it's just a matter of how many we're going to lose by. So he said, you haven't actually thought about winning. He said, look, we're playing Newcastle. We're 6 divisions below them. He said, well, you've got 11 players. They've got 11 players. You know, what can be achieved? And actually what happened in the end, I think they lost 13-0. No, it was 0-0, I think, at home. And then they went to Newcastle in the replay and lost 1-0. So that was really all about setting themselves a goal, really looking at what could be achieved. Yeah, it was a big mountain to climb. But, you know, what he did in the end is sort of gave him a positive vibe of actually what could be achieved. That guy actually went on to work with Liverpool and Arsenal. So, but yeah, it just shows you. So it's all really part of recognising our potential around that. There's a guy, I don't know if you know, called Stephen Covey. He talks about around actualising our potential. And it's about that commitment to serve more than just us. So what we start to do is to start to think about what can I do to help other people? And I think by helping other people, that can also help you achieve your targets. So really, you know, at the end of the day, just summarising all that, it's about making ourselves feel good and looking at those goals and thinking, okay, look, how good am I? What's my best version? What can I do to achieve what I want to achieve? But I think be sensible.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm just going to add to that little story because I'm from Stevenage.
Oh, that's right, you are.
Yeah. And I remember talking about how, you know, having a goal and sharing that and how that has a ripple effect on other people. The whole town was out celebrating. We had street parties. It was absolutely amazing. And you know, the fact that we drew 0-0 was like a win. And even when we went back to Newcastle and we lost 1-0, it was still a major win. And I just remember how much that like really excited everyone in the town, you know, and I was never into football before or after really, but you know, it was amazing that you could go, yeah, we're from Stevenage and everyone remembers that from that game. It was amazing. So yes. So just to build on that, really, the big idea number 3 is about the big 3. So in goal setting, you might have heard of people like Stephen Covey, who I've got your name then, Ian just mentioned. He talks about looking at categories of improvement. You know, what are the areas of our life that we want to set some goals around? And then another guy that a lot of people have heard about probably is Tony Robbins. He talks about roles and goals. So he talks about, you know, what roles have you got in your life? Because we've all got lots of different roles, you know, business owner, you know, wife, husband, son, daughter, you know, all sorts of roles we have. And we could have goals set around each of those areas of our lives. And I don't know about you, I find some of that a bit overwhelming. It's like, well, you can have 150 goals then, and actually we're never going to achieve any of them. So we distill it down to 3 core areas, really. So energy, work, and love. So work and love actually comes from the work of Freud. So I don't necessarily agree with a lot of the work that Freud did, but this really comes from his work, that actually we have 2 sides to us. We have our work, which is, you know, whatever it is that we're doing, you know, in our businesses or our work, and then love, which is not just about our significant others. That might be a lot wider, from, you know, our families and our communities, whatever that is for you. But then we have one other area, which is energy, because without looking after that, that is really a foundational sort of keystone to any goal. Is how are we going to show up? How are we going to have the energy to actually do any of this? So we look at these 3 areas, like, who are you in these 3 areas of your life: energy, work, and love. And we have a little bit of a fun sort of experience around here, is to think about that is like, this is me in my energy. So this is the Zen warrior goddess. So like, thinking about these 3 areas, what is it that you want to be? How do you show up as your best version of yourself? Could you give it a name? Could you think about some, you know, key behaviors that you might want to work on around each of these areas in your goal setting? So for me, energy, I have this picture of the Zen warrior goddess, because, you know, part of it is, yes, I want to be Zen, but also I feel like I want to be a bit of a warrior and kind of really show up for me and for my clients and for everything that I'm doing. And in my work, I call myself the transformational philosopher in chief. And that's about really carrying on doing the learning and the development that I love doing. But for me, the philosopher in chief part is bringing that to my clients and sharing that with other people. That's not just about, you know, leaving it on the shelf and becoming a librarian of all this stuff. It's about going, well, what does it actually mean for me and for my clients? And how do I share this? How do I bring it to life and make it simple? How do I put it into practice? And then in my love, I'm glad my husband's not here, but I am the world's best wife. And that's because I kind of have to work at that, because I love what I do and I can show up in work and I show up in my energy, but then I can forget that I do actually have friends and family and a husband. So I have to work at that. And so the behaviors that I set myself around that are about being present, about, you know, responding to bids. You know, if he says, oh, can you help with something? I'm not like, God's sake, I'm busy, can't you see? I'm like, yes, darling, how can I help? Actually, I have to really practice at that. So it's a fun way of just distilling, like, the goals. Yes, we've got goals in work, goals in life, and sometimes, and actually, if we're doing what we really love doing, we kind of never work another day in our life. But it is actually work and life. So how do we bring those things together? How do we show up as the best version of ourselves in that? And so this is kind of just another way of distilling those goals, but so they're not thousands of them. This is about 1 or 2 things that you can be working on in each areas of your life. and having focus and having drive around those, having some excitement around them, having a bit of a game, like that's why my loved one is very tongue-in-cheek. It is a bit of a game, but it helps keep me focused on what is actually important. Why am I doing all of this? Because it is about, you know, family and friends and, you know, significant others in my life. So just to get you to think about that, and, you know, I realise that we've got to move through at a pace, but like I say, we are recording this. We will put it up on the drive and give you access to that. And we will share the slides, but, you know, like, think about, well, what do you want to create? You know, what is it that you want to create? And kind of, I always start with life, because then if our work can support that, then that's brilliant. And if our businesses can support that, then that's brilliant. And then, you know, sometimes the two merge together. If you knew you would be successful, then what is it that you'd really like to create? What is your #1 target for the next 12 months? What does that look like for you? You know, get some real granular details around what that's, you know, what is the shape of that? And then think about, you know, okay, so big three: energy, work, and love. What would great look like for you? And remember, everything is created twice. So we become a magnet to what we want to create and what we put in our minds. So if we can get real clarity around these things, then it really helps us to be able to, #1, say yes to things as they come up that are going to help you go in the direction of those goals. But most importantly, #2 is to say no to things that aren't actually in the direction of travel for you. So, you know, maybe you want to put some of those things in the chat if you've got some ideas around that, but definitely it's great. Joanne and Daniel, it's great. You can work on this together. You know, being able to share this with someone, again, is scientifically proven that if you share your goal, you write your goals down and you share them with other people, you are much more likely to achieve them. So, big idea #4 then, Ian.
Okay. So that looks like a bit of algebra, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, this might look confusing, but it isn't. This is all about the motivation equation. And whilst it might look like a sort of a quickly drawn picture on the slide, I can assure you that this has been scientifically proven as a good way for people to achieve their goals. The M obviously stands for motivation. The V stands for value. The E stands for expectancy. The I stands for a word that I can never get my tongue around, inclusivity. And the D is for, I've had a mental block.
Distraction.
Distraction.
Good.
That says it all, doesn't it? Right, okay. So basically with the value, it's all about understanding your goal. It's really how passionate you are about really achieving that goal. You're going to set it, you really want to be able to, you really want to do it. And the expectancy is all about that, you know, is what you can do to really expect to achieve what you want to achieve. With the distractions, I mean, we must eliminate all those distractions to fuel out sort of any motivation that we might have. For example, I mean, one distraction I have is for some reason, if I get an email and it pings up on my laptop or my phone, I have to look at it straight away. I don't know why. I sometimes think it's probably come from the Pope or Donald Trump. It's so important. And really, it's not. It's probably important to the person who sends it. But what I'm trying to do is the fact that from my distraction, I'm trying to block those emails. I'll have an email session twice a day because it's all a matter of sort of, if I know, if I wake up in the morning, I might have a goal. It's a year's goal. But it's all the point as you wake up in the morning and think, okay, this is my goal for today, and I can't be distracted by that. So if I've got like an important project that I need to work on, I will work on that first thing in the morning because I'm good in the mornings. And I'll set myself an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it might be to get that job done. So all those distractions, like the wife saying, can you help me make the bed or change the bed or that sort of thing, they have to wait. So really it's all about eliminating those distractions, being disciplined and knowing what your goals are. And sometimes you might have a goal where it's a 5-year goal. So you've got to think to yourself, okay, what am I going to do in between that? And you need to have micro goals. If you've got a goal of, I need to achieve 200 new clients over the next 5 years, well, you're not going to sort of wait until 4 years and 10 months and think, where am I? So it's all a matter of setting those goals. Okay, where am I after 6 months? Where am I after a year? So you're also always challenging yourself to achieve that next micro goal, to obviously achieve the ultimate goal. Anything, Tony, you want to add on that?
Yeah, I mean, this equation really does work. If even if you do the math. So, if at the top you want it to be a really high number. So how much do you really value this goal? Because that's going to help you keep you motivated. Like I said, even if it scares you a little bit, that keeps you motivated. How much do you expect it to happen? So if you score like 1 out of 100, if you score 1 out of 100 on value and expectancy, then that's not a very high, motivator. And then if you want the number at the bottom to be the lowest number, so the one at the top really high and the one at the bottom really low. So if you're really impulsive, so it's impulsivity. If you're really impulsive and you like move on to the next shiny thing, which as entrepreneurs we can do, as entrepreneurs and leaders, we tend to get excited by the next shiny thing. And if we're going to do that, then we are going to get distracted. We are going to find it really difficult to focus. So like we want to try and get that number really down. So if you work out the maths, so if you score 10 on V and 10 on E, and you score, like 1 on impulsivity and 1 on distraction, then actually, you've got a high motivation towards your goal. But if you score only 1 on the top line and you score like 100 on the bottom line, then you're going to find it really, really hard to actually be motivated towards your goal. So I think this is really, really important. If you're not feeling it, then actually this is a really good equation to run through and score for yourself and think, well, okay, where is it that I score the lowest here? Like, is it because I don't really feel like I can achieve it? And then I can really revisit that and go, right, okay, what is that about? What's stopping me? What's getting in my way then? And if like Ian, you're being distracted by your emails every day, well, what's that about? Okay, what can I do to stop that happening? Because I actually really do value this goal. It means a lot to me and I really believe I can get to it, but I know that I'm impulsive and I might, stay up late watching Netflix too many times when actually the sleep's more important to me. So like this can really help you go for it. And Grace, I think we probably did this on your leadership course, but like if you've got teams and people around you who don't seem that motivated, you can work through this with them. It's really, really simple. Once you get to remember what these are. But yeah. So big idea then, number 5 is 5 years plus mastery plus the 1. And this is all about, moving yourself out 5 years and saying, where is it that I think we'd really like to be, like personally and with the business? What is it that I'm really trying to achieve? And again, as I said, getting real clarity on that really helps. But also then coming back to now and going, okay, what is it that I need to do to actually create mastery in this? What's the processes look like? What are the things that I've got to work on? Because we're not all perfect. We're never all going to be perfect. But what is it that we're willing to go at to actually achieve this? You know, how important is it really to us? And then the one thing, so I call it the one because then every day we can focus on what is the number one important thing that I should be working to today. And it's, they call it goal setting to now. What is it that I'm going to work on now that is actually going to help me achieve what it is that I want to achieve in 5 years' time? And also being really aware of what is the trade-off then? You know, being really clear. If I want to go after that one thing, it might mean that I have to give up some things. So I'll use a really simple example, you know, like if one of my goals personally around my energy, let's say, is about being really fit and healthy into my 60s, which, you know, I'm at a couple of years off now, but into my 60s, I don't want to be, you know, ill, you know, fat and unhealthy. Okay. So what's my trade-off then? Well, the trade-off is today, maybe I don't eat the bar of chocolate or the cookies that are in the cookie jar. Maybe I need to give up sugar in order to build that healthy body, healthy mindset, because I know that's kind of my number one thing that gets in my way of that. But I have to make a trade-off. You know, maybe I don't feel like going to the gym or going out to do my 10,000 steps every day, but I know that that's a trade-off that I need to give up or start doing in order to make that 5-year goal really important for me. And so what are they in our business? What are they in our energy? What are they in our family and our sort of wider love? What are the trade-offs? What's the number one thing today that I work on and every day? So every day is day one. What am I going to do today that's going to be in pursuit of that 5-year goal, and how is that important to me? Just how important is that goal that you're going to realize there's some trade-offs? So have a think about what they might be for you. Ian, big idea number 6.
Okay, this is decide to decide. I think the first thing we need to do is we need to make that decision really about what direction is we want to go in and what is the goal that we really want to do. So decide comes from the word desire, which means to cut off other options and those things that are kind of going to get in our way. I mean, we all like dipping in and out of things. We all lead very busy lives. So it's a matter of sort of, as I said earlier, disciplining ourselves on things and look at that number one thing that you really want to get to, because the other things that we start to think about can and will get in our way. So the desire to decide is all about that direction that you need to go in. There's a guy called Emerson. It says, stamp it with, I'll read this out here actually, stamp it with the power of your personality, put all of your energy into it. And Emerson tells us as well, nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm, and nothing great was achieved without a healthy obsession, which I think is very, very true. I mean, look, there's lots of sayings when we're doing things that sort of get off the fence, go your own way. And yeah, it can be difficult, you know, when you're making decisions. Am I making the right decision? Is it the right one? And I think it all comes down to confidence at the end of the day. You really need to be confident on what you've decided, what you want to take, how you're going to get there, and try and stick with it. And yeah, and sometimes things will change on that journey, and it may well be that you have to revert to something that you didn't think was right at the start of that journey. But that decision is down to you. That decision you own, and hopefully it will be the right decision for what you want to achieve with your business. I mean, there's the old saying as well, I'd rather regret the things I've done than regret the things I haven't done, because we didn't make that decision at a time when we could have gone and done it. So it's really important, I think, that we start to think about the direction that we want to go.
Yeah, yeah. And not to put too fine a point on it, I do this thing, quick trip to heaven and a quick trip to hell. And you know, the trip to hell is, yeah, I do not want to be on my deathbed thinking, I really wished I'd done this. I really wish things had been different. And you know, Grace, you're at the early part of your career, but some of us don't have loads and loads of time left to make loads and loads of decisions and, you know, keep changing direction. And I know that's like quite harsh, but we don't. So this for me is like kind of know your price and pay it daily. And it's like you either pay in ounces daily or you pay in lots of pounds at the end of a period where you go, do you know what? I really, really wished I'd done that. Whereas we can just make a little bit of, you know, pain daily and know that actually we're doing something that we really care about, we're really passionate about, and that we're driving it home inch by inch, rather than making it hard and then, you know, 5 years down the line saying, I really wished we'd have done that. And, you know, we can't go through all three of these doors. We have to choose. And I think it's really important that if we choose, we then go after it with all our might. I like the saying is, you go after it like a man with his hair on fire would run to a pond. Okay, yeah, so big idea number 7 then. So that all of these sort of build into each other really. It's 5 minutes, number 1, 24/7. And it's every single day. Once you've got that goal really clear, every day realign yourself with it. So, you know, I journal every day, and every morning I read my goal. I read out to myself what it is that I am wanting to achieve in the next 5 years, because I'm just realigning myself. And then I can go back to, okay, then what is the number 1 thing I do today? And what is the number 1 thing that I obsess about 24/7 to mean that I'm actually going after that goal? So for me, that is about, how do I become a better person? How do I show up as the best version of me? How do I create and more content, more stuff to share with clients, more things to help more businesses become more successful? And that literally is what I obsess about 24/7. I rarely read a book that isn't about leadership or some sort of guru or some sort of way of, you know, aligning our, sorry, I'm being attacked by a fly, it's really annoying. How can I align myself, you know, more spiritually, more focus on leadership skills, more focused on growing business, learn new tips and tricks and hacks and all of that. I literally do obsess about it. I'm doing it all the time. How can I, and I bore people like Ian to death with new tricks on things that you can have, like mushrooms that keep your brain like switched on, you know, like special cacao and all sorts of things that can keep you like on it and focused and driven. And how can I whoop it? Now, whoop, for any of you that have been in my world before, it stands for wish, outcome, obstacles, plan. And this is again a scientifically proven tool for how we make sure that we achieve our goals. And the most people who are successful in the world use this sort of model, which is being really clear on our wish, absolute clarity, understand the outcome of achieving that for us. What will it achieve what will it do for us if we achieve that goal? or that wish, and then the obstacles, what's going to get in the way of us doing that? So once we've got an idea of what our wish is, rubbing it up against reality and saying, yes, but these things might get in the way, like I might not have enough money. How do I create the time to do that? I might not feel 100% confident. I don't know if I can do this on my own. All of those things are absolutely reality and are probably going to be things that get in your way. But by thinking about them and then your plan falling out of that process really helps you, as I say, stay focused, be able to say yes to the things that are going to take you in the direction that you want to go in. And I always say, most importantly, say no to the things that aren't going to take you in that direction. Say no to the clients that are a pain in the backside. Say no to the clients that you know, or to the big contracts that you think, oh, this is probably going to be good money, but I can feel it in my gut. They're not going to be good people to work with, or it's taking me in the wrong direction. That we have all done this. We've all taken the wrong projects. We've all probably gone into things because actually it feels like in the short term it's going to give us the money that we need, but actually we know it was the wrong thing when we went in, and it was really hard to get out of. So, you know, like being able to say yes, but a big yes, and being able to say no with a big smile on our face, thank you very much, but no thank you, really, really helps us to get those goals achieved. So big idea number 8, Ian.
Thank you. Serenity key and tranquility tax. So this is all about really having better control of your mindset, and having those things that really can be outside your control in the day-to-day working life. I mean, we talk about turning a serenity key, and that key is the things that you put in your mind, which is really based on, is this within my control? And that's having really some confidence behind what you're trying to achieve. Now, there's things that are outside our control. You can't control who's going to win the election. You can't control what inflation is going to do, what interest rates are going to do, and all these things can have an effect on your mindset, on you being the best version of yourself, and really on your day-to-day running of your business. It's just impossible to control things that are going to happen in the outside world. But it's how you as an individual are going to respond to that, and how you are going to keep yourself motivated and to keep going to achieve, you know, what we all want to achieve. I mean, look, there's a lot of negativity out there in the world. We've got, as I said, we've got no control over it. But it's about whether or not we let that slow us down as individuals. So yeah, it's all about having that positive, as I said, having that positive mindset, and just sort of breaking through all those barriers that we haven't necessarily got any control over.
Yeah, and I love this saying on here, you know, grant me the serenity. This is actually the serenity prayer, and I don't know if you know it, but it's used in Alcoholics Anonymous. But it's like, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And that's the bit, isn't it? It's the wisdom to know the difference and catch ourselves when we're obsessing over something that we cannot change, or somebody that we cannot change. I like that one as well, somebody that we can't change. So this is big idea number 9. We're nearly at number 10, and we're nearly out of time, but hopefully you can stick with us. Big idea number 9, I absolutely love this, and this is where it really does sort of like mix with my bit of woo. I am a bit of woo, okay? And there's again research proven that there are certain levels of vibrations that as humans we have, and as the universe, the world has these vibrational, what they call escrows, and they're measured, okay, from like 0 to like 1,000, okay? And again, it is proven. And it's shown that, you know, if we're negative and we've got a lot of negative self-talk, or we're around other people that are a bit negative and drain us, there is a vibration that like is really, really low that happens, and we feel it. And then the love, this is called love 2.0. Love is shown that it vibrates at about a level 500. Okay, so I'm all about being from love and above. That's I have this little mantra that is that what my vibrations, I want to be from love and above. But what they show is that this 3 times OTL is opportunities to love. And it's called the new science of love. And what it is about is, how can we go around and live our days by just giving opportunities to love? So I suggest that we all have maybe a little goal of every day doing this 3 times with people that we don't know. It could be that person that's holding you on the line, you know, at BT or British Gas, who, you know, is, you know, could wind us up, or we could just send love. And I literally just say things like love, love, love. And I can tell you, it absolutely changes the way that interaction happens. If you just, you know, you're going through the supermarket till with someone who's chucking your shopping through at some god-awful rate, and you're getting wound up, you go, actually, I'm just going to be really nice and thank them. It's called positivity resonance is the official word for it. But I practice this now, especially if I'm not feeling it. I'm thinking, actually, no, I need to raise my vibrations by actually giving out positivity to other people, even if you can't pretend to love them. Actually does change the nature of a relationship. People feel it. So I just have this little thing, is I have a little goal of every day, 3 times opportunities to love, and catch myself when I am being a bit negative, or catch myself when, you know, I'm getting wound up by, like I say, getting held on a line for 45 minutes at the bank or somebody, and just be nice to that person. And you really find that actually what it does is it vibrates back, but also vibrates out. And they've even shown that if you've got a jug of water or a glass of water or plants, and you say, I really, really hate you, you're horrible, it changes the crystals in water. And you know, we're all made of water. Most of us are made of, like, you know, 99% water. It changes the crystal shapes, the ugly shapes. And then when you go, oh, I really, really love you, I really, really appreciate you, I'm so, so thankful for you, it actually changes the crystal shapes into beautiful, beautiful patterns. And so, you know, this isn't just me being woo, this is scientifically proven. But I'm just challenging you to have a little goal around opportunities to love, opportunities to send your vibrational sort of escrows out there into the world, and, you know, make a difference for someone else. Maybe who hasn't received a smile off of someone today, who hasn't received a thank you. So that's my number 9. And finally, number 10.
Okay, number 10. Right. So this is about the moment that we all show up. That's your best version of you. Really thinking about the goals that you've set, whether it be in your energy, your work, your love, as Tony said earlier, and what your priorities are, and understanding what gets you there and what gets in your way. So that's really bringing together the last 9 ideas, disciplines that we've talked about. And as we say, as we go through that journey, that we can go 2 steps forward, we can go 3 steps back. It's just about accepting that and knowing why it's happened and how we can really move on from that. There's a saying I just took a pill just now. It's got stuck in my throat and I can't get rid of it. So apologies. There's a saying, don't ever waste a bad day, because it's all data. So if you really have a bad day, don't think I'm just going to write it off. Think about really, what's a good day? What did it feel like? And overcome the challenges of that in your mindset as well, really. And just sort of think, okay, it is, what did I learn from it? Let's move on. So, you know, just don't be down that you've had a bad day. We all have bad days, and there's reasons behind it. So it's just conquering that mindset on that, really. So so we need to think about sort of some of the payoffs that Tony's mentioned, getting over any disappointments we might have, and really just sort of, as I said just now, thinking about what's your best version, what makes you motivated, what makes you achieve your goals, and what keeps you in that positive vibe. And look, we can't be positive all the time. I mean, are you just saying sometimes? Some say, are you happy? Well, yeah, I am, but I'm not happy all the time. There's a matter sometimes of using the word contented. And I think that is all about business as well. It's being contented with what you've achieved and what you want to achieve. So, so yeah.
Yeah, I love that, because I think in any moment you can go, am I happy? And the answer probably is yes. If it isn't, then what do you want then? Because there's no point in staying like unhappy and mithering on that, because like it does make us feel worse, and it, you know, spreads out. Other people feel that. So I always think if I'm not feeling it and it's not working for me, rather than beat myself up, it's like, well, what do I want? Okay, get back on it. And like I say, every day is day one. So how motivated are you? How are you feeling? Give us a score. I always use Soulful score, 108, because that's a magic universe number. But what's your score out of 108 right now? How motivated do you feel? Let's see in the chat what you're saying. Okay, I understand that you need to go. No worries. But so excellent, 98. Thank you, Sarah, for that. So if any of you want to, Ian and I are offering the chance to have a one-to-one with us to help you think about what is that plan for you? How do you put that in place? How do you take back control of, you know, maybe what's got out of control? How do you learn to make this the most, you know, happiest, thriving year of your life? How do we break down some of the fears and doubts and second guessing that we all know stop us moving forward? So if you want to do that, Tyee is going to drop in the chat a link to our diary so that you can do that. And we will just jump on a call with you and help you to get wherever that is for you, and help you to look at, you know, how do you shape the best days? You know, how do you create some of those goals? So thank you, Tyee, for putting that in the chat, if any of you want to book in that. Do any of you, like I said, we kind of are happy to stay around. If any of you got any questions, would like to, you know, jump on and, you know, talk about some things that maybe you want to get into place. We're not going anywhere right now, but yes, Sarah, you please.
Sorry, I keep pressing all the wrong buttons because I'm covered in clay. So one of the problems that I'm having with goal setting is that because I'm in a new industry that I'm trying to learn, as well as sort of run a business, a lot of my work is project work that comes up unexpectedly. So I do have like goals in place for the things I know about, but then because I don't know when these things are going to come up, but I do feel they're in my best interest to have a go at them, like, how do you sort of build that in without it sort of becoming reactive rather than proactive?
Yeah, it's a really good question, Sarah, because and that's one of the things that we do when we're setting goals, is we kind of second guess ourselves and think, well, I want to achieve this, but what if I can't, or what if that doesn't come up, or how am I going to do this? So the real art of goal setting, and that sort of wish in the Whoop model, is to let go of anything that is kind of negative or might get in your way. And the art is to talk about what it is that you want to create, even if you don't know how, or even if you've never done it before, is to be really clear about what it is you do want. Because what happens is, and this again, it triggers something in our mind called the reticular activating system, which then starts to become a magnet for what we do want, which is why I always ask myself, what do I actually want? And then what you can be then is more proactive in your plan around going out to find the work or the clients or the projects that you do want. So don't worry about the how. Think about the what is it that you want, and then you can come back in putting your plans together to implement your plan. Is what is it that I need to do to go and find that sort of client or that sort of project or that sort of work or that sort of money, if that's the goal that you're going after. And not to get held up by the things that you don't think you can do, or, you know, what if I don't know this, what projects are coming up, because none of us do. None of us know what is the reality. But what you can do then, Sarah, is then when a project comes up, you can look at it and objectively say, does it fit in with what I'm trying to do? You could still say, well, I'm really not sure, but I think it might. And then you can make a more rational decision rather than just being reactive and going, well, a project's come up, I really don't know where I'm trying to go to, so I'll take it. It could take me somewhere. It could be a nice place, or it could be, I absolutely hate it, I don't know. But you're more informed if you've got much more clarity around what it is you do want to create. And then you can think about, well, where are those sorts of projects? How do I get involved in a project like that? How do I find a client that will want a project like this? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Ian,
I think also the other thing is be conscious of don't set yourself too many goals, because I think some people, I think they seem to think that the more goals I set, the more successful I'm going to be. And I think what can happen there is you just overwhelm yourself. I mean, it's like, I'm sorry, but I'm going to use another football analogy. It's like if you're 2-0 down and you can use 5 substitutes, you're not going to bring 5 substitutes on all at once. Reason being, because that will just upset the whole balance. It might work, but that's where we were talking about earlier about micro goals. You'll bring 1 sub or 2 subs on at a time, and they're your micro goals building up to what you expect you want to achieve at the end of the match. So yeah, it's just be conscious of that. I mean, I'm involved in a business at the moment, and they've set so many projects and so many goals. Everyone's running around like headless chickens, and you just lose all your discipline and well, you're going from London to Birmingham via Wales, and you'll never get there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and I think that thing about one goal, one really wildly important goal for you is much better to go after. You can have little micro goals on the way, and then you're gradually, you know, getting towards hitting your goal. But we all know we have ups and downs in between, but the trajectory is in the right direction. And you can say yes to a project because it seems like it's taking you in that right direction, and it ends up that it doesn't. But that's okay. It's like not beating ourselves up. It's going, actually, this isn't what I thought it was. What can I do about that? It's not taking me in the right direction. What can I do about that? But you can very easily get tied up in doing things that are taking you in the wrong direction. Now, I did this in my business when I first set up my business. I set out, my goal was to help 1 million people have the career or business of their dreams. So it's quite wide. And I set up a business, and I managed to get some funding to support business owners and get them moving towards what it is that they you know, and I was really loving what I was doing. And then I got a team around me, and I got a sales team around me. And before I knew it, I was delivering all sorts of stuff. And I'm like, why have you just taken on a project to help, that it was to help train people in care homes? And I'm like, well, yeah, we can do it. And we were doing it, but I hated every minute of it. And it was an absolute nightmare. And I'm like, why did we end up down that rabbit hole? And it was because we just took on business because it was about money. It wasn't aligned to my goals. So in the end, in 2018, after six years of business, £1 million turnover, I switched it off and I shut it down. Literally overnight, I switched it off and shut it down and started again. It was the scariest moment of my life, but I knew that I had done it before and made a success, so I could do it again, but I was still really, really scared. But then, and that's what taught me to really focus on one thing and only going after projects and programs and sales that were around that one thing. And now I can honestly say all my business I love doing, but I have been tempted to take on stuff that isn't quite in that direction. And I'm like, no, stop. But it's hard to do, especially when you're trying to grow or develop or start a business, to stay that focused. But every successful person will say that they got their success from being focused, driven to that one thing. And the Chinese, or it might be the Japanese, have a saying that's chase two rabbits, catch none. And that's what we need to think about, is like, is it taking us in the direction of our one wildly important goal? Any other questions? Joanne, Daniel, anything? Any questions? I know we've got a coaching session later. You'll be sick of me by the end of the day. Okay, so, well, here it is the start of a 13-week process. So we look forward to seeing you on the next session, which I think is the 9th of January. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so we've got two great weeks of festivities, overindulging before we set that. Yeah, don't wait till midnight on Christmas, on New Year's Eve to set a mad goal. Let's start now. Think about what it is that we really, really want to create, and let's go after it. We'll be there to support you in that process. Meantime, if you want to book in a one-to-one session, you can do that. Or if you want to contact me or Ian, you can call or direct message us on the number on your screen. So 7401 149 899. And yeah, we just thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next time. But meantime, have an amazing Christmas. Can't believe it's Christmas this time. Is it this time next week, or it'll all be over this time next week?
Over.
It'll all be over. All that build up. Which is why I always like still doing things at this time of year, because like everyone else has given up and said, right, it's Christmas, let's start in the new year. Like, let's start now and go into the new year with absolute clarity about what it is that we are going to achieve next year. And we'll be there to help you get there.